Hello and welcome to Reading with Miss Tolliver. Today I will be reading the book. This book is entitled Thunder Rose. This book was written by Jerdine Nolan, illustrated by Jerdine Nolan. Rose was the first child born free and easy to Jackson and Millicent Magruder. I recall most vividly the night she came into this world. Hailing rain, flashing lightning, and booming thunder pounded the door, inviting themselves in for the blessed event. Taking in her first breath of life, the infant did not cry out. Rather, she sat up and looked around. She took hold of that lightning, rolled it into a ball, and set it above her shoulder. While the thunder echoed out over the other, they said this was just accentuated the fact that the child had the power of thunder and lightning coursing through her veins. She's going to grow up to be good and strong, all right, Doc Holler, they said. The child turned to the good doctor with a thoughtful glance and replied, I reckon I will want to do more than that. Thank you very kindly. Shifting her gaze to the two loving lights shining on her, which were her ma and pa, she remarked, much obliged to you both for this chance to make my way into the world. Then she announced to no one in particular, I'm right partial to the name Rose. So much in love with this gift of their lives, her ma and pa hovered over her in watchful splendor. Overcome with that love, they lifted their voices in song, an old song and melody so sweet and true, a lullaby passed down from the ages, echoing since the beginning of time. There is a music ringing so sweetly in my ears, the newborn explained. It's giving me a fortunate feeling, rumbling deep in the pit of me. I'll register it here at the bull's eye set in the center of my heart and see what I can do with it one day. Rose snored up plenty the first night, breathing on her own, rattling the rough rafters on the roof right along with the booming thunder. There was nothing quiet about her slumber. She seemed determined to be just as forceful as the storm. With the thunder and lightning keeping watch over her the rest of the night, her ma and pa just looked to calling her Thunder Rose. The next morning, when the sun was high yellow in the billowy blue sky, Rose woke up hungry as a bear in spring, but not the least bit ornery. Minding her manners, she politely thanked her ma for the milk, but it was not enough to quench her hungry thirst. Rose preferred instead to drink her milk straight from the cow. Her ma was right graceful to her to have such a resourceful child. No other newborn had the utter strength to lift a whole cow clear over her head and almost drink it dry. In a moment's time, Rose did, and quite daintily so. She was pretty as a picture, had the sweetest disposition, but don't let yourself be misled. The child was full of lightning and thunder. Out on that paperback brown, dusty, dry, wide open space, Rose often was found humming a sweet little tune as she did her chores. And true to her word, Rose did more than grow good and strong. The two-year-old became quite curious about the pile of scraps iron laying next to the barn. Rose took a good-sized piece, stretched it here, bent it and twisted there. She constructed a thunderbolt, as black as a pitch to punctuate her name. She called it Coal. Wherever she went, Coal was always by her side. Noticing how skilled Rose was with the metal, her pa made sure there was an extra supply of it always around. At the age of 5, Rose did a commendable job of staking the fence without a bit of help. During her 8 and 9 years, Rose assembled some iron beams together with the wood blocks she used to play with and constructed a building tall enough to scrape the sky, always humming as she worked. By the time she turned 12, Rose had perfected her metal bending practices. She formed delicately shaped alphabet letters to help the young ones learn to read. For his birthday, Rose presented her pa with a branding iron, a circle with a big MAC for Magruder in the middle. Just in time, too, because her herd of quick-tempered longhorn steer was stampeding its way up from the Rio Grande. They were plowing a path straight toward her front door. Rose performed an eye-catching wonder, the likes of which was something to see. Running lightning fast toward the herd, using Cole for support, Rose vaulted into the air and landed on the back of the biggest led steer like she was a merry-go-round pony. Grabbing a horn in each hand, Rose twisted the vermin to a complete halt. It was just enough to restrain that top bull and the rest of the herd. But I believe what touched the critter's heart was when Rose began humming her little tune. That cantankerous tone of beef was restless no more. He became as playful as a kitten and even tried to purr. Rose named him Tater on account of that was his favorite vegetable. Hearing Rose lullaby put that considerable creature to sleep was the sweetest thing I had witnessed in a long time. After the dust was settled, Ma and Pa counted 2,700 head of cattle. After they added in the 500 they already had, using the scrap iron, Rose had to add a new section to the bull pen to hold them all. What did you do to the wire, Rose? Ma asked, surprised and pleased at her daughter's latest creation. Oh, that, she said. While I was staking the fence, Pa asked me to keep little Barbara J company. That little twisted pattern seemed to make that baby laugh. So I like to think of it as Barbara's wire. That was right clever of you to be so entertaining to that little one like that, her mom said. Rose just blushed. Over the years, the twisted wire caught on, and folks just called it barbed wire. Rose and her pa spent the whole next day sorting the animals that had not been branded. One day soon, before the cold weather gets in, she told her pa, I'll have to get this herd up to the Chisholm Trail, and to market in Abilene. I suspect Tater is the right kind of horse for the long drive northward. On Rose's first trip to Abilene, while right outside of Caldwell, the irresponsible fun of outrage and outlaw Jesse Bangs and his gang of desperados tried to rustle that herd away from Rose. Using spare metal rods she always carried with her, Rose lassoed those hot-tempered hooligans up good and tight. She dropped them all off to jail, tied up in a nice, neat iron bow. It wasn't any trouble at all, she told Sheriff Weaver. Somebody had to put a stop to their thieving ways. But that wasn't the only thieving going on. The mighty sun was draining the moisture out of every living thing it touched. Even the rocks were crying out. Those clouds stood by and watched it all happen. They weren't even trying to be helpful. Why the air had turned so dry and sour, time seemed to be all but stand still, and there was no drop of water in sight. Steer will not move without water, and that was making those bulls mad, real mad. And when bull gets angry, it's like a disease that's catching, making the rest of the herd mad too. Tater was looking parched and mighty thirsty. I've got to do something about this, Rose declared, stretching out several iron rods, lasso fashioned them, launching coal high in the air. Rose hoped she could get the heavens to yield for it. She caught hold of a mass of clouds and squeezed them hard, real hard, all the while humming her song. Gentle rain began to fall, but anyone looking could see there was not enough moisture to refresh 2 ants, let alone a herd of wild cows. Suddenly, a rotating column of air came whirling and swirling around, picking up everything in its path. It sneaked up on Rose. Whoa! There now. Just hold on a minute, Rose called out to the storm. Tater was helpless to do anything about that sort of wind. Those meddlesome clouds caused it. They didn't think kindly to anyone telling them what to do. And they were set on creating a riotous rampage all on their own. Oh, this riled Rose so much. She became the only 2-legged tempest to walk to the western plains. You don't know who you're fooling with, Rose called out to the storm. Her eyes flashed lightning. She bit down on and gnashed thunder from her teeth. I don't know why anyone would want to mess with a pretty young woman who had the power of thunder and lightning coursing through her veins. But pity for them, the clouds did. Rose reached for her iron rod, but there was only one piece left. She did not know which way to turn. She knew coal alone was not enough to do the job right. Unarmed against her own growing thirst and the might of the elements, Rose felt weighted down. Then that churning column split, and now there were 2. They were coming at her from opposite directions. Rose had some fast thinking to do. Never being one to bow down under pressure, she considered her options, for she was not sure how this would all come out in the end. Is this the fork in the road in which I have my final supper? Will this be my first and my last ride to the roundup? She queered herself in the depths of her heart. Her contemplations brought her little relief as she whistled the miraculous, the catalyst efforts of windstorms bent on her disaster. Then the winds joined hands and cranked and churned a path heading straight toward her. Calmly, Rose spoke out loud to the storm as she stood alone to face the rank of the ruins, multiplying devastation. I could ride at least one of you out to the end of time, but I've got this fortunate feeling rumbling deep in the pit of me, and I see what I am to do with it. This day, Rose said, smiling. The winds belted at rumbling pitch. Rose squarelessly faced the storm. Come and join me, winds. She opened her arms wide as if to embrace the torrent. She opened her mouth as if she were planning to take a good long drink. But from deep inside her, she heard a melody so real and sweet and true. And when she lifted her heart, she unleashed her song of thunder. It was a sight to see. Rose making thunder and lightning rise and fall to the ground at her command, at the sound of her song. Oh, how her voice rang out so clear and real and true. It rang from the mountain tops. It filled up the valleys. It flowed like a healing river in the breathing air around her. Those tornadoes calmed by her song, stopped their churning masses and raged no more. And gentle as a baby's bath and soft drenching and soaking rain fell. And Rose realized that by reaching into her own heart to bring forth the music that was there, she had even touched the hearts of the clouds. The stories of Rose's amazing ability spread like wildfire far and wide. And as sure as thunder follows lightning, the sun follows rain. Whenever you see a spark of light flash around, a heavy, steel, gray sky. Listen to the sound of thunder and think of Thunder Rose and her song. What mighty, mighty song pressing on the bull's eye that was set at the center of her heart. The end. And I hope you enjoyed this book, Thunder Rose, because I certainly did. And I will see you next time on Reading with Miss Tolliver.